If you're British, you'll know who Lenny Henry is. And if you're not British, let me introduce you to one of our most famous black comedians and one of the touted examples of integration and how it works so well. So, Lenworth George Henry, sorry, Sir Lenworth George Henry, because he was knighted in 2015, was it or is a British Jamaican comedian. So he's one of the one of the cohort that was born after the Windrush generation were allowed to come and settle here. He was born and raised in Dudley, so it's not that he was an immigrant himself. It was his parents who were immigrants. So he's been here his whole life. This is purportedly his country. And he was very successful. He became a successful stand-up comedian in the 70s and 80s. He had the Lenny Henry show, and he was the most prominent black British comedian of the time. And he celebrated and parodied his African Caribbean roots. He was on TV all through my life, as far as I remember. He was just always on TV, and he was all right. He was pretty inoffensive in most ways, to be honest with you. And he has been everywhere and done everything, it seems. And so he's now 67. He's had a phenomenally successful life. And he's like, oh, I need reparations. Oh, do you? Do you need reparations? It goes beyond getting a cash refund for slavery. You were never a slave, Lenny. What's your problem, bro? I thought you were the model example of integration. If you're just as English as the rest of us, who are you asking reparations from? Do you need to pay yourself reparations because you're just as British as anyone else? Or is it that you see yourself as separate to us, and therefore even now, even after your entire life of being hugely successful in this country, you still understand that you are different and we owe you something? And I tell you what, when you get to the amount that he thinks we owe him, it's just... Even if we wanted to, Lenny, we couldn't. Anyway, so he says, when did you start thinking about reparations? And it was back in 2014, so this is relatively recently. As you can see, he's been, it seems, radicalized by wokeism, which is interesting because you think, right, okay, a lifetime of being integrated and successful and recognized in Britain. Again, Sir Lenny Henry, you would think that wouldn't be able to just be washed away by a couple of words from some woke racists in America, some like anti-white racism from America. But here we are, and Lenny Henry's like, yeah, you know what? I do need reparations. But it seems that he was thinking about this beforehand. In 2014, he's talking with Marcus Ryder as well. I don't know who that is, to be honest. He was talking with him, and he came up with the idea of diversity tax breaks if you meet certain inclusion criteria in film or television or film production. Lenny called me up and said, this is reparations. So is any amount of money that the black community is able to scam out of the other communities, it's not even just the white community, is that all reparations, is it? They announced they had finished paying off the debt for ex-slave owners in 2015. We'd been paying it off too. So the descendants of slaves were paying for their enslavement. Well, no, they were paying for their liberation. And a lot of people in the black community were like, as African Americans would say, here we go. Ain't that some... It was kind of a raised eyebrow and a depressed, well, what can you do? And we thought, well, we should do something about this. It's like, okay, yeah. Interesting how he literally references African Americans, as if Lenny Henry's experience of being in England is the same as theirs being in America. But anyway, he says, oh, I wanted a hot tub, jokingly. But once you start to break it down, it goes beyond getting a cash refund for slavery. It becomes about social engineering, and it's going to sound really touchy-feeling. It becomes about healing and spiritual healing rather than just cash. It's hundreds of years of being oppressed and downtrodden. Okay, but it's hundreds of years of being liberated all around the world as well. So it's about mental illness, mental health issues. It's about society being rigged against you. Oh, tell me, brother. Don't I know that? But society is just so rigged against you, wouldn't it, Lenny? Apparently his net worth is somewhere between like 9 and 10 million pounds. He's a very wealthy man. Yeah, no, sorry. Tell me about hundreds of years about being oppressed and downtrodden, Lenny. It's about mental illness, mental health issues. It's about society being rigged against you. Even if you don't say it, the house wins every time if you're a person of colour. It's been happening for 200 years. Lenny, you're rich and famous. I don't understand what you're saying here. This doesn't make any sense to me. You are talking about getting a hot tub. We shouldn't be scared to say there's a financial element to it. If you look at other forms of reparations, like the Nazi atrocities in the Holocaust, oh, right, yes, same thing. There were positives and negatives. Money's not going to solve structural racism, though. Oh, right, okay, so we're going to keep prattling on about structural racism. Got it. It feels the Guardian says it feels as if money is the part that people are least keen to talk about. And Lenny Henry says, only because it's so huge. They're frightened because if you wanted to do actual reparations, it would cost trillions and trillions of pounds. The Brattle report calculated that Britain owed 18.6 trillion in reparations for its part in transatlantic slavery, taking into account criteria such as foregone earnings, loss of liberty, and personal injury. Are you sure it's not like 100 trillion? Why not make it 100 trillion? I mean, if you actually go to the Brattle report, which I have here, they do actually say, if you go down to their conclusion, taken together, the total harm estimated from slavery is between 100 and 131 trillion. But you know what? I don't think it's enough. Ask for 200 trillion. Ask for 300 trillion. Ask for a trillion. Because we aren't going to pay you shit. Because you think we have 18 trillion just laying around. Do you think we have any money? Have you not noticed how fucking bankrupt and dilapidated this country is? It's genuinely funny. Oh, sorry. We're going to have 18 trillion reparations. You're not getting shit. Absolutely not. And the thing is, we don't really feel guilty about things either. We ended slavery. Everyone had empires. Everyone had slavery. And we're the ones who ended it. So it was completely normal for the time. I mean, you know, the Africans are the ones capturing other Africans and selling them into slavery. So it's not like this is just purely a racial thing either. It's not just a pure racial dimension to slavery. It was just what people were like in the past before we made the modern world and made slavery an inappropriate thing. Like if Lenny Henry was the descendant of people who weren't enslaved, they would think it was completely normal and they wouldn't care. Just like the current, like, Igbo, whatever they called, you know, whatever the tribes are that were taking the slaves, like the Nigerian tribes, they don't care. They're not, like, there's call for reparations against those people. They're just like, shut up. This is ridiculous. And also, what I find really interesting about this is how it shifts the burden of the black community to just be ethical away from themselves. Like, oh no, this is all because of a lack of 18 trillion pounds. I mean, just to be clear, right? This is going to be analogous to the amount of liquid capital in the entire world that they think they're owed. And it's like, that is just preposterous. Preposterous. And going, well, slavery is wrong. Yeah, well, you know, it was only the British that really did put, it began in Britain, where we put the abstract categorical slavery is wrong in every case together. In other places, it was, I don't want to be a slave, but I don't care if other people are slaves because I need their labour. Anyway, the moral argument is that we deserve compensation. We deserve reparations. Let's get that agreed. And how we're going to get the money or how much money, that's a secondary concern. I don't agree, really. I don't care. I mean, I would be entitled to reparations, would I? Like, how much of that 18 trillion am I getting? What about the point about national governments like the UK simply can't afford to pay? Well, you can take a really long loan, you see. You can borrow 20 trillion and pay it back over a really long time. Dude, we're not going to do that. And we can't afford to do that. I mean, who would lend us 20 trillion at this point? So they've got their road maps and things like that. But a common objection is, why should people have to pay for something that had nothing to do with it? Lenny Henry says, I think it's owning where your birthright comes from, isn't it? Right, okay. So actually, integration isn't a thing, and you're not a part of this country because your birthright is something else, right? You are detached from us, and you see us as basically a piggy bank to take money out of. If you benefited from it, then you really need to consider how you can pay it forward. If you're really rich because 400 years ago your ancestors did something, then you should be thinking about, what can I do to help society and help the people that my ancestors oppressed? Okay, maybe I can accept the legitimacy of that argument, but how many people does that actually apply to? Like, most people who are rich, like none of the billionaires that you can think of inherited their money. They made their money through business. Like, you can't, like, Lenny Henry has a very antiquated view of how people become rich and who are the rich people that when you see the list of billionaires, how they make their money. But anyway, he says, well, why should poor white Britons pay for your hot tub? And the other chap says, nobody says that why should the white working class guy in Bradford pay for my kids or Lenny's kids to go to school, but that's what's happening. No, I say that. If we privatised all of these things, they pay tax, they pay VAT, they pay income tax, my kid goes to a state school, that pays for him to go to school. Yeah, maybe if these things were to be privatised, then that wouldn't be the case, right? I mean, he'd just have to pay for his own kids to go to school. But he says nobody questions that. It's so insidious. Where we look at the poor working class, we try to pit white working class people against black people. We try to pit one deserving group against another. Right, so who do you think you're talking about? Like, name the people that you think deserve currently have your 18 trillion, Lenny, and tell us. Right, and I love this. I love this nonsense. Like, oh, they're trying to pit the white working class against black people. Yeah, that's happening, and you can see that that's happening. He apparently called on allies to help tackle racial inequality and declares diversity under real threats. Oh no, how terrible. But then he's like, yeah, we must introduce our stories. We must tell black British culture in the Black British Culture Takeover 3 years ago. It's like, you don't think that's divisive? You don't think that's divisive? I mean, you're literally dragging up racial grievances from 200 years ago, despite the fact that you are a famous and successful multimillionaire in this country. And you're like, oh, well, we don't want to be divisive to the white working class. It's like, no, this is divisive to the white working class. You are literally setting yourself apart. And we are supposed to, for some reason, and this was, of course, during Black Lives Matter, obviously he was taking full advantage of that. We're supposed to accept that actually you're, like morally entitled to take our money because I'm black, And so it's like, no, I'm sorry, Lenny, I'm not having this, right? I'm not having this. Like, you are not integrated if you are thinking that actually you deserve trillions of pounds from people. This is not a wonderful integration success story. And in fact, what this suggests is there's never a success story for integration. Because, I mean, like, Lenny Henry even married Dawn French. And he's like married some other English woman. And it's one of those things where it's like, right, so even after all of that, you can end up like this. That's not good, is it? Like, that sends a really terrible message. And you complaining, well, I mean, look at the far-right rally earlier this month in London. It's like, well, we don't care. Just because Tommy Robinson, his career is out there, shouldn't stop us talking about issues that are really important to us. I don't care if these issues are important to you at all. I don't care in any way, shape, or form. I'm not interested in giving you any money as a form of racial revenge on the white people of Britain who ended slavery 200 years ago, because it looks like you're having this attitude because we were stupid enough to end slavery. It seems like you're telling us, listen, idiots, now you're on the hook. Now, for doing the right thing and being one of the only peoples in the entire world who did the right thing, now you're on the hook and you owe us loads of money. Gib, gib, gib. And so, how is this multi-millionaire black guy still like Gib? How is that going to solve any of the problems of the black community now, right? How does the fatherlessness in the black community get solved? How does the epidemic of knife crime in the black community get solved if we just pour trillions of pounds into their pockets? Like, I don't think it's actually socioeconomic factors that are causing these issues. I think it's a cultural issue. I think there's an ethical problem in this community. And I think there are various other reasons that this is just something that community struggles with wherever they go. And I do suspect that a large part of it is this kind of perennial victim complex. Just, oh, we are just the victims of history. It's like, I don't think anyone's a victim of history. I think actually you can just get on with your lives. Like, there's nothing stopping you from actually becoming a rich, famous comedian, as you showed us, Sir Lenny Henry. Like, sorry, like, it would be more persuasive if it was coming from someone who wasn't so successful. But again, like I said, what it does suggest is that actually integration is a real problem. And even someone who was held up as a model of integration, such as Lenny Henry, actually isn't.